Hello and welcome. My name is Brandon Wendell, Chartered Market Technician, and this is my observations and analysis on the Nifty index as well as the Bank Nifty. If you got any questions, feel free to let me know. Basically, what we're seeing right now is a continuation of the bullish trend. We had a bit of a retracement, ran right into this area of demand. Wasn't quite sure it was going to hold, but it did. We stayed well above 50 as well as 40, so therefore we see the continuation to the upside. And our next overhead target, although we are at a little bit of a crossroads here, we have drop, base, 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 and drop. So we could see some selling pressure coming in the start of this week. But our target should be 18,320, with the next target being 19,501 on the move to the upside. If I drop down to the daily chart, see what's going on a little bit more in tune there. The daily supply is actually right here. You have rally, base, base, and drop that we are approaching. Now, we have a lot of bullish momentum, so that's suggesting this may only slow us down, not actually reverse price. If we do get kind of a pullback, I doubt we'd pull back this much, but there is a very good demand zone right here. As you can see, we rallied out of that 17,285 quite well. I don't, like I said, see us pulling back that much, but if we were, that'd be a great buying opportunity to target the 18,320 or even above. Dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, let's see what's going on there. We have another demand just a little bit higher. And since we're on a different time frame, I'll change the colors for this as well, just so we see. So if we pull back not as deep, to the origin of the move like we saw here, we might end up pulling back to 396 before we end up going long. And as far as targets go, there's nothing really here. Oh, wait, there is right here. Got a rally base drop there at 12 or 18,258 to watch. So let me get rid of the Fibonacci extension. That way we can read the letters a little bit or numbers better. So yeah, if we do get a bit of a pullback here, 17,396, then target that 18,258. I'm actually kind of curious too. If I go to the daily once again, yeah, this is our impulse up. So I could use a Fibonacci retracement here just to see if it lines up with any of the demand zones as well. And really, it's a 76.4 that would line up with. It's pretty deep. So I don't know if we're going to pull back that far. We may have already done a retracement. As you can see, we pulled back 38.2% already and it bounced. So that may be all we get. But again, if we start seeing more weakness this week, this will probably be the area that you see the bounce from the 17,396 area. It's just a really deep retracement altogether. Going down to the 60-minute time frame just to see a little bit more detail. Not really seeing much change, but there is a little bit higher area of demand here. Right here. So if we don't go as far down, wrong one of zones. There we go. If we don't go as far down as the 396, then 17,534 is also the next bouncing area. See decent buying pressure coming out of that to get us up, as I was mentioning before, to the 18,258 target that I'm looking at. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on the Nifty. So far, we're just kind of stuck sideways as we have been since the beginning of the year. As you can see, just back and forth, kind of in a range. You can almost mark that off with the range right here. You just see back and forth, back and forth. So we kind of got to break out of that one direction or the other at some point. Be careful, false breakouts. Often when you break the new highs, you retrace and pull back first before you take off. So just be patient with that market. So if we go out to Bank Nifty, see what's going on there. And again, I'll start off with the big picture. We'll go with the weekly chart. And we've turned around from the origin of our previous rallies. We did not go below 40. That's very bullish for the Bank Nifty. So we may be able to actually break out of prior highs as long as we can exceed this selling pressure we're coming into. We have kind of a drop-based drop right there at 38,733 to 40,160 as a possible overhead supply zone. So keep an eye out for that as your immediate target on the way up. Dropping down to the daily time frame, we can see if there's any kind of zones inside of that. And there actually are, although I'm not sure if that's great. We have drop, base, base, and kind of a weak move out, but it is a supply zone right at the bottom there, 38,707 to 39,117. If we do get a pullback, well, we have demand below as well that we can bounce from pretty easily. So if we end up bouncing off that, you may end up seeing that the trend doesn't change, but instead we just simply get a retracement. It depends on what our high is. If it's the high right here, Wrong one. Then we would retrace to one of these Fibonacci levels. If we end up going all the way up to the 38,707, that would be different numbers, obviously. So you'll notice I always start the Fibonacci retracements at the open of the move, the open candle, not the low. It just gives me better numbers typically. So again, if I go to the 707 area here, then again, if we move all the way up here first before we retrace, then you got target 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before we bounce. So keep an eye out for that. We can also go down to this 4-hour time frame and see if any demand zones align, and they really don't. They don't line up with anything here. Even this doesn't really line up with anything. So kind of on our own, we're in the middle of no man's land, and just be very careful with taking any trades. You can see that this is also an area of demand on the 4-hour, 35, 550, 567. I'll change the color so I know it's on the lower time frame there. And there's nothing else in between, unless you got something maybe on 60-minute time frames for buying opportunity. And there is, right here. So we got that as a possible buying opportunity, 518 to 812 if we do the pullback. I believe that's going to be a Fibonacci retracement as well, about 38%. So keep an eye out for that. It looks as though we're just kind of stalling out as we're moving up. We lost momentum. So you can see it on the 60-minute chart pretty clearly here. Prices made new highs, but the indicator, which is showing momentum, made lower highs. That's called negative divergence, usually leads to a pullback in price. I'm expecting the pullback to 812 here, 36,812, then a bounce up to the 38,707. So that's what I'm kind of seeing on the Bank Nifty for this week. So be safe out there, trade safe, trade smart, and trade well. And hopefully you like the video and subscribe. And I'll talk to you again next week.